What's up, everybody, and welcome in to another edition of the Sit Down. As always, if you enjoy this video, please make sure you hit that like button. Let me know what you think of today's discussion in the comment section below. If you're watching us currently live on YouTube or wherever else, please make sure you hit that subscribe button so you never miss another Sit Down video. If you're listening to us on audio through your ears on Spotify or iTunes, welcome in. Leave us a 5-star review and a rating as well. What's up, everybody? I am Jeff Nadu. This is episode 198 of the Sit Down. We're just 2 away from 200. Who are we going to have on? I guess you'll have to wait and see. We've interviewed all sorts of people on this channel. We've done biographies on people all over this channel, but we very rarely speak to people that are not necessarily connected to the mob. And today's subject isn't. He's just a regular guy who was from South Philadelphia. He sold cars for a period of time, and he was damn good at it. And now he's in control of one of the most popular shows here on YouTube and in the sports betting and, this kind of world. He's a guy that I've known a long time. We're going to go through kind of some of our stories together, and you're going to get to know Joe Perri, a.k.a. Little Snuff. We welcome him now. Little Snuff, what's up?
What's up, my man? How you doing?
Doing well. You're looking healthy. I see you got the Eagles. You got a special Eagles shirt on. That's pretty dope, man. We got the cheesesteak logo.
We got the Skinny Joey's cheesesteak exclusive drop today. Championship patch on it. Eagles. They'll be available tomorrow for sale at the parade.
I love that, man. And look at you. You're living high over there. Look at that row home, bro. You're killing it,
man. I'm blessed. What can I say?
Yeah, you really are. You come a long way, man, from when I met you.
Yeah.
But the thing about you, and a lot of people don't know this, you're probably at this point one of the most well-known people in South Philadelphia. You're what they would call, Snuff, a bon vivant. Everybody knows who you are. You see everybody. You're like the mayor, right? But the thing about you that a lot of people don't know is your dad's like that. Your family's like that. They're very personal people. I know your sister. I'll have to tell you a story once about your sister, and she could tell you the story. She helped me one time, ran a spot. I don't know if she ever told you this story.
Yeah, on Oregon Avenue.
Yeah, right on 11th Street. And it didn't work out on my end. I felt really bad about it. But your sister's a great girl, man, and your family.
I will say you did the right thing. Monique told me you let her keep the commission.
I did. I did. I mean, I actually ended up eating a lot of money in that.
Yeah.
It was one of these things where listen, you would feel this way if you ever left South Philly, right? Where I live now, this is home to me. I know everybody here, and I had moved from South Philly back here, and then I was thinking about moving back, and I'm like, yeah, I really don't think this is for me. I think I've moved past this. But I want to talk because there's a lot of people, Snuff, that'll probably listen to this. They listen on audio. They're maybe a little older. They may not even know who you are at this point. They only listen to podcasts. So tell me, like, who you are, what you do currently, and then we'll get into how you got there.
So born and raised in South Philly. My family's from the Italian market, 10th and Carpenter. Small, tight community, majority then was African Americans and Italians in that neighborhood. And that's really what the whole neighborhood was about. My family owned the produce market, a lot of stands up 9th Street. My dad's side of the family did that, and they also owned Shank and Evelyn's, which was a famous luncheonette. My mom's side of the family's from Rosewood Street, where I currently am around there. And I grew up, I hung out on 16th and Jackson. I went to St. Monica's for grade school. High school, I went to Newman Goretti. And I just always was in South Philly. I always was the same friends that I had then, I still have now. My group of friends, from girls and guys, we all stayed close. We all stayed together. And, I grew up in St. Monica Parish. My mom didn't want me to live on 10th and Carpenter because it was too much gambling, but look what happened to me anyway. So it's
you become everything she didn't want you to become.
Yeah, with gambling, but now she likes gambling.
Why do you think because South Philly is still pretty Italian, right? Certain areas, right? Like the neighborhood I used to live in and like over near kind of where you are. Why do you think so many people stay in that neighborhood? Because like where I live, like when my mother grew up, it's all Spanish now and in different groups. The people that lived in the city at the time, they're out in like the suburbs now or they live somewhere else. Why do you think people stay in that neighborhood?
Well, for for instance, like my neighborhood, and like just say back in the day, they used to have corners. You'd have Second Street, you have Fifth Street, you have 10th Street, you have 16th Street, you have 18th and Johnson, you have 28th and Tasker, or
Yeah.
30th Street, like all different sides. But everybody in them neighborhoods stayed close. Like we would say from Front Street to 30th Street are still the same people. Whether you're black, white, Irish, Asian, Cambodian, Italian, it doesn't matter. Everybody knows each other and everybody still lives here.
Do you think that's why people stay? Just
yeah, I
because of
think
the
because you're comfortable, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you could go anywhere. Like I could go to ShopRite or Acme down 30th Street. I would know everybody in there. And if a 30th Streeter or an 18th Streeter went down 2nd Street to go to ShopRite or the Acme, they would know everybody there also. Everybody stayed together. We never had that growing up where corners were fighting corners. Like that was over with. Like some of my best friends are from 2nd Street and are Irish. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's a really interesting place. It's very rare that people stay in like a city, right?
Yeah.
Like by now they'd have moved, and a lot of people have moved from South Philly, but it's still pretty Italian. I mean, I got to give it a lot of credit. It's one of the only kind of ethnic neighborhoods still left.
Joey says it all the time. I say I want to leave. I want to move. I have every opportunity. I can live in Boca Raton if I wanted to. When I go to Boca, I can't wait to get back to South Philly. It's
So you
like
never
crazy.
leave?
Joey says all the time. He's like, "What do you can't wait to go back?" I'm like, I know. I don't know what it is. It's just like I am South Philly, I guess. Like I love this city. I love the action.
Yeah.
I love the casino. So,
Yeah. All right.
yeah.
That's kind of how I am here. I get it. Do you think you'll ever leave there?
I think I would, but I probably would say I would move down to like Margate or Ventnor if I,
Yeah, it
you know,
wouldn't
I don't
be-
think I would move like an airplane flight away to Florida, you know,
Yeah.
which I could if I wanted to. I just, you know, I love it here. My family's here, you know, and it's just like, I guess it is fun here.
It is. Listen, some of my best years of my life were when I lived there. It was great. You know, you
Yeah.
meet so many people. It's one of the only places I've ever lived where, like where I live now, I live in a new development. I've never spoken to a neighbor here.
Yeah,
I wouldn't know
different.
their name. Like down there, it's like you knew everybody. It's like,
Yeah, like
oh, yeah.
my next door neighbors right now, like if they wanted to, they could walk right in my door and be
Yeah.
like, "Yo, you got milk? I ran out of milk." Or
Yeah.
you have a battery for my TV remote? Like it would be nothing. Like
It's cool how that is. We miss that in America. I feel like at this point. Your father is a you mentioned gambling.
Yeah.
I heard you tell a story once that, and I think this is cool because like as you grow up, like look, as you know, I lost my dad. You still have yours, but I think once you get older to where he is and he's not here anymore, these are the things you're going to remember. And you told a story where on Father's Day, you go to the racetrack
every Father's Day.
That's
Every Father's Day, we go to Philadelphia Park. When my grandfather was alive, he would also be at Philadelphia Park with us. When my grandfather died 2 Father's Days ago, we put his ashes right on the racetrack. Like my first experience with gambling and my first love of gambling came from horses. You know, my grandfather was into horses. My father loved horses. You know, I'm 8 years old hanging around a social club and there's horses on TV. And that was my first betting horses.
Well,
When my wife first met me, I explained to her, listen, this is what my family does. Like we go to the racetrack on Father's Day. We're big with gambling. And like, you know, you see the pictures, she's in them. She's at the racetrack with us.
Does she gamble too?
No. My mother gambles, my sister gambles, my father gambles, my wife don't gamble.
So
if she did gamble, we'd be homeless or living in a 1-bedroom like Joey says.
You know, it's funny. There are people that believe that when you said that.
Yeah.
I remember there was a kid, I forget who it was, someone in the mob verse. They reached out to me. They go, "Can you believe he gambles that much?" I said, "It's not true. Like, he's just joking around. He's having fun.
Yeah,
he's insinuating that he gambles that much that's where he'd be."
Yeah.
But it's good you have those memories with your dad because
we still do. Like everything that I do or, you know, has the like, you know, I guess like if you're not from here, people might say, "Oh my God, he's got a bad father." Like my father taught me how to gamble. You know, it's crazy as that sounds. As much as every parent says, "I don't want my kids to gamble," here it's different. Like that's how I grew up. Like I grew up watching Joey and my father play gin. You know what I mean? Like that was normal to me. So as I got older, it's normal to me. And if I have a son, unfortunately, it might not be the best thing, but he probably will gamble.
I have always said there's things in Philadelphia I've seen that I don't think if you did them anywhere else, it would look really bizarre.
Yeah.
But in Philadelphia, it's, as you said, like being a bookie in Philadelphia, as you know, is like, that's like being a dentist or a mechanic, you know?
Yeah.
It's like,
And I remember back in the day, like it was so, you couldn't even tell nobody that you were gambling or you were betting. Like it was so discreet. Like
yeah.
nobody was supposed to know, oh my God, I bet the Eagles this week or I bet Cincinnati or anything. Now it's everybody gambles. Girls, guy, your grandparents, like my sister's girlfriends are all betting parlays on Sundays.
I gotta, before we get to what I want to ask you next, I gotta give a shout out to your girl.
Alex, the parlay queen. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, that's impressive.
14-1 shot she hit.
I put $100 on that.
Last night she had an NBA ticket that paid 4,200 to 1. She missed by a half a point, half a rebound. It was. She lost.
Wow.
Yeah, she's good.
That's impressive. You know, I remember, as you said, like when I was, even when I was younger, no girls were into sports like that.
No.
Now it's a normal thing. Let me ask you, when you were at Goretti, which is a Catholic school, what did you want to do in life? Did you have an idea or?
So in my yearbook, I wrote that I wanted to be like a sports commentator.
Okay.
So
nice.
Kind of like even like when I just did, I did a boxing job for Brian Costello Boxing. They had me as a boxing commentator. So, it was great. The podcast, like commentating, like the other night I introduced Johnny Garb at Chickies and Pete's. Like I had the microphone, like that's stuff that I'm good at. Like I could talk in front of 1 million people. I could do my commercials, like, one take, like it's nothing. I just can't read off a piece of paper. I could just go off the top of my head.
Off the top of your head.
Yeah. That's what I wanted to be. Yeah.
Right. So you wanted to be like a sports broadcaster?
Yeah, like a broadcaster, something like that.
One of the things you've been very open about talking about is you had problems with substance abuse.
Yeah.
You've been clean almost a decade now.
8 going on 9 years.
Yeah, that's amazing, man. Good for you. I knew you during those times.
Yeah.
I don't even remember how I met you, but as you like you meet somebody and then they introduce you to somebody else. Hey, this is so and so. Hey, what's up?
Yeah, of course.
And I don't even remember how I met you, but I remember back then you were a pretty heavy gambler, which you've always been.
Yeah.
But then again, you were coupling it with some of the things you were doing, and I remember some about you, and I'm not going to say who it was, but you owed a couple of people back then.
I made it up to them.
You made good on
that. Yeah, I made it up to them. I still say we were in the casino last week for the Super Bowl betting together.
Okay,
when you're doing drugs or alcohol, you're not in the right frame of mind. And you do things and say things you shouldn't do, and you act a way you shouldn't. I don't wish that disease on anyone. I don't think it's funny. When I'm sure everybody that's watching this knows, like when people come on and say, I used to shoot heroin in my arm or I used to rob houses. None of that ever happened. But people out there right now are struggling with that. And, it's not a joke, and I don't wish it on anyone. And that's why I always say, if anybody ever needs help, needs somebody to talk to, they can always reach out to me.
Yeah, it's always a lot of people don't wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to start doing, the F word that people do now.
No one in my family did drugs besides my Uncle Ralphie. Ralphie Head. He had when he was younger. So when you're talking about 3 decades after I'm born, I never even had a drink of alcohol until I was 18. I went right to pills. I never smoked pot.
Why? I don't want to relive that for you.
No, you can.
Why? What made you do it? Was it just someone else?
I just wanted to do it. I seen it. I seen people that were on, let's just say, Percocets, how much fun they were having. And one night I just decided to take one, and I fell in love with it.
And how long did you do them before you decided I gotta change I gotta get out of this?
Well, I knew I was addicted after the first 2 months. From 18 to 21, I battled addiction the whole time. I got sober tried to get sober at 22 years old. I didn't fully get sober until I was 24.
Now, if you don't want to share this is okay.
Right, yeah.
What made you? What did something happen where you were just I gotta?
Every time prior to this, when I went to rehab, I did it for my mom, my dad, my sister, my ex-girl, and my friends. I never did it for myself. The last time that I knew that I had an issue was September 11th, 2016. When I woke up that morning, I just said to my parents, and my sister, I said, that's it. I have to go away. And they were like, what do you mean you want to go away? I said, I want to go away right now. And I'm doing, and that decision that I made that day was for me. It was for no one else. And I knew I wanted to stop. I knew I wanted to make that decision. And that day changed my life forever.
Is it hard for you to, be around, people that, because your friends, I'm sure Joey,
No.
like that, they drink alcohol and stuff.
You
It's just,
know, it's not hard for me, but I don't stay out past certain times, like, 12, 1 o'clock. It's just not my thing. I never was that way. When you're sober, there's some limitations that you have, and listen, when I could be out and just say what my wife or Joey till 2 o'clock in the morning, Joey's like, all right, it's time for you to go home. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Like,
that's good.
everybody knows, like, if anybody ever offers me a drink when we're out, like, and we were just say, amongst our friends, he don't drink. You know what I mean? Like, people are aware of it. People always have my back with it. They don't think it's funny, and I was just always okay with it.
Well, I saw a study recently that very few young people now drink. Like it's
Yeah.
at like the ultimate low where people just don't do it anymore. It's good you have friends like that. And look, the old adage is true. Nothing good happens after midnight. Ever.
No.
Like
And you
there's
got to
nothing.
realize a lot of my friends I grew up with are sober still to this day.
Yeah.
Michael Pissarro, TJ Biondo, we're all got sober. So it's different.
Good for you. That's great. Well, you eventually start selling cars, which in a way, I mean, I feel like someone like you would be good at that. You're very good off the top of your head. You get some information and you think, okay, perfect. I know about cars. You were doing really well with that too.
Well, first, before I got in the car business, I was a stagehand in the union. My cousin
That's
Jonathan,
right.
Anthony,
Yeah.
I was a
Right.
stagehand. It was in my mom's family forever. The stagehands, local 8 IATSE. So I was in there. I left Stogie Joe's. Well, first I was a busboy at the saloon in the Fitzwater Cafe. I went to Stogie Joe's. Great, both places just amazing. Got in the union because I got 18 years old. I was allowed to get in the union. After the union, I was battling, going back and forth out of rehab. I needed a change. I got into the car business, and I fell in love with the car business. And it was exactly what I needed at that time because I needed structure in my life where I would wake up in the morning. I would be in work at 8, and I wouldn't leave work till 9 o'clock at night. So I needed that in my life at that point.
So you don't have that monotonous time where you wanted to do
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
You're sitting home, you're thinking different shit. When you're in the car business, you're always working, you're always moving. And I was good with people.
You didn't want to work at a union, no?
I liked the union. I did. I guess it wasn't for me. Listen, I can't hold a hammer. I don't even know how to change a light bulb. You know what I mean? If it wasn't for my wife, this whole house wouldn't be done. I'd be living in here with wires. I could care less.
I mean, some guys aren't good with that. I wouldn't
No,
be either.
I'm not. I'd rather pay
Some
someone
women
to
are
do it.
really good at putting stuff up and whatever.
Yeah.
So I kind of want to get to the point where, you'd always wanted to do this in a way, right? And I remember when you were always putting out like these car promo commercials.
Always,
and,
yeah.
People saw you on, I remember seeing you on TV once. I'm like, holy shit, there's Joe Perri. Because those commercials, I don't know if they're big anywhere else, but I remember when I was down the shore when I was a kid, I'd always hear, you remember that place, the Cherry Hill Triplex?
That's who I worked for.
Oh,
That's
is that what it is
owner.
now?
Yeah. Same owner.
I will always remember that guy. Come see me at the Cherry Hill on Route
Listen,
70.
I made it up selling Chevys for less.
Okay, is that you that made that up?
That was all my whole thing. The guys I worked with. Listen, in the car business, you usually don't work with the same management team your whole career.
Yeah.
My entire career in the car business, I worked with the same guys. That never happens. We were close. We had fun. The car business was great. But I needed a niche that was different than everybody else because these guys were selling cars for 30 years. I was new. So I just decided one day to get on camera and make a crazy car commercial, and it stuck.
It's the little jingles and stuff are great, And so you get to a point where you're doing all this, your life's good. You meet a woman, you get married, you have your house, your dog, everything, family's good. And then we start hearing, and I remember hearing about this. Someone that contacted me said, hey, they say Joey's coming out and going to do a podcast. And we had heard for years he was going to do that. I remember when I was at Barstool, they said, oh, Joey's going to do something with Barstool. And nothing, you hear rumors. And then someone, I think it was Ray Wags, called me and he said, Joey's show's coming out. Can you promote it? I said, sure. And they said, Snuff's hosting. I said, get out. I said, it's a great host.
Yeah.
Tell me how you know Joey. What that goes back pretty deep, right? That
Yeah,
relationship.
I mean, my grandfather and his father knew, were friends. My father and Joey are friends. 10th and Carpenter, everybody went there and hung out. So when I was born, Joey knew me already before I was born. You know what I mean? So it goes all the way back to that. Wags knows me since I'm born. Wags's cousin is my cousin, so he knows me since I'm a baby. And it was nothing weird. We were on the phone one day, and Joey said to me and Wags, they asked me to do a movie first. And he said no. And then they came back and said, well, what about a TV series? And he said no. And then they said, what about a podcast? And he's like, I don't even know what a podcast is. And me and Wags were on the phone talking. And I said, well, I got a good idea. I said, we could tell your whole life story, through court documents. And Wags turned around and said, how about pasta and parlays? Do food and talk gambling. And it was just like a mix. And at that point right there, it wasn't me being the host of the show, it was just Joey. And the guy we were hooked up at the time, Kevin Connolly, said to Joey, you need a sidekick. You can't, it's very hard to do a show by yourself. Like, that. You do a show by yourself and you do a great job. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's very hard. People don't understand that.
But I will tell you too, and I want to say this. It's also hard to work with a partner. And I could never work with a partner.
Yeah.
I'm not built like that. You though, and I think this is why you do really well. You guys just get each other.
Yeah.
Like you got to have the right mix because people be partners and it just doesn't work.
Yeah, of course.
You both complement each other really well. So you accepted and you're like,
well, what happened was they called me on the phone. I was working and Wags said to me, "Yo, would you want to do the show with Joey and be the host?" He's like, "I think it would be a great idea." And Joey thinks it'll be a great idea. I was like, "Yeah, of course I would do it." But it was like a funny thing. Like, it wasn't supposed to be this. It wasn't supposed to really be a show. It was like, all right, we're going to fuck around and hang out, play cards, and post a video. That was it. And then one day I was working in the car business and my phone rang and it was Kevin Connolly. And he was like, send me all your videos of your car commercials. And he called me back in 5 minutes and was like, listen, today's Thursday. I need you to get on a plane by tomorrow. Now,
the thing is, Perri, doing a car commercial, it's pretty simple, right? You just kind of say something. This is something different though, right?
Yeah.
You're doing, 30 minutes, 40, 50 minutes where, you've been on camera, but it's different, right? It's
different. Way different. This is way different.
Yeah. So did you think to yourself, yeah, this sounds really good, but I gave capable?
I gave my commitment on the phone. I was supposed to get on a plane the following day. So I got done work at 5 o'clock that day. The only people that knew were Kevin Connolly, Joey, Wags, me. And I came home and I told my wife, I said, listen, they asked me to do this. I think it's going to be a stone cold winner. I said, I think that I could kill it. And my wife turned around to me and said, pack your bag.
Yeah.
Just like that. She said, pack your bag and let's go.
No, I remember, like I said, I remember when I heard it, and I heard it before a lot of people, but I had always thought, I've heard this before. Like, I don't know if it'll actually happen and whatever. And then I heard Kevin was involved, and I know Kevin. I've known Kevin for years, and he had said to me, we think this can be good. I said, I think it can be too. I said, if you just got to stick to certain things, and you did that, and it's great. And I don't think people realize kind of what you do and what we all do. Like, people think you just get on a mic and talk. There's a lot of the time where you go down there.
I just was there 5 minutes ago. I was there yesterday when I was when we
filmed
our podcast.
How many episodes have you done in person together? Probably.
So we did 76 episodes. We have done 69 together.
and I'm sure probably like Zoom. At least half were it. You had to go there, right?
Yeah, I mean, it costs us money. Yeah. People think that to do this is all free. Like, you got to pay the cameraman, you got to pay the editor, you got to rent the studio, you got to book airtime. Thank God I have a friend that lives in Boca Raton that I have a place to stay. Like, all this stuff is money. This isn't free.
People don't realize, and it's even more than that. Like, I have a guy I pay to do thumbnails, right? I gotta, I have less stuff than you. I kind of try to do everything in front of me here, but yeah, it doesn't come easy, man.
Listen, it takes a certain person to do this, and me and Joey mix great with it because Joey talks to the people, say on Instagram. When he's talking to the people on Instagram, I'm editing clips. when Joey's looking at information that we're going to talk about on the podcast, then I'm posting the podcast, or my wife's helping edit. There's just so many things that are involved, like, and we do it all together. We have a call, we're on the phone all the time, but like we work good together. And then on top of it, we're opening up a cheesesteak store. It's nonstop. Like we try and do everything, and I feel like we do everything 100% every time.
I want to ask you about the cheesesteak spot, but I want to ask you about kind of all of this and how it all works. I do want to say though, you do a really good job, and I don't think I've ever told you this. You're a really good sport with, because it takes a lot for a man to just have, you just break balls,
Oh, yeah.
Like I could never do that because I'm too sensitive, right? People know that. But you're a good sport. Like you don't take it personal. You just kind of, you just run with it.
Anybody online, none of that stuff bothers me. They can say whatever they want. The only time I get mad, my father can get me mad, Joey can get me mad. Them two, if they start breaking my balls, like sometimes I walk out of the room. You know what I mean? I leave, but they kill them. But I'm a good sport because it's fun. At the end of the day, we all break balls.
Yeah, I've never seen you mad, actually.
No, I don't get mad.
I do want to ask you one thing about Joey. When you were coming up, right? What year were you born?
92.
Okay. So like when you're 7, 8, 9 years old, you meet Joey, right?
Yeah.
You see that he's in the paper. You see that he's on TV. What was that like? Did you think anything of it, or?
No, it's normal. It's normal. We live here. He's somebody that I see every day that, it's family. Like, yeah, he could be in the paper today, but tomorrow morning he's playing with my father, Gin, and telling me to run around the corner and go get them Lorenzo's pizza. Like, you know what I mean? So it was always, it was just normal to me.
I'm going to ask this. Do you think that do you think he's unfairly targeted a lot?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Yeah.
I think that he's got, and I think the reason is that he has such a big name, and people hate that about him because they want to make him out to be this bad guy and this and that, but he does so much good, and that bothers them even more. So it's kind of like it goes up their ass. Because when I mean to tell you that this guy did things for people that you would never imagine, and that people with millions of dollars wouldn't do. So that's what they really try and do it to him all the time.
Yeah, I see that. And look, that's been going on for years. I mean,
Yeah.
we had talked on your show about like the Christmas things. Like,
Yeah.
you can say what you want about him, but he's been doing that for longer than you've been alive.
Yeah, nobody else does it.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. And it's needed because you're right. Not a lot of people do it.
Nope.
So the show kind of takes off. Did you think it would become? You kind of said you thought it would just be kind of a fun thing to do?
Yeah, like we thought it was going to be fun. Me and Joey and Wags, like because it's really us three that came up with it. It's us three. At the end of the day, like we're on the phone, we're talking about it. So it was just like my mom and dad didn't know the episode was coming out until the first day. I didn't tell nobody, and they were blown away. Like this is really happening. But I thought maybe all right, we do one episode. It was fun. Let's see if it catches on. And then once I seen the numbers of the second episode, I'm like, oh my God, I'm watching the subscribers. I'm watching the views. I'm looking at my Instagram account. When I started the podcast, I had 14,000 followers on Instagram. Of course, the Chevy commercials, the gambling content.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, I just got 10,000 followers overnight. Joey had 0 followers. We made him an Instagram account. Me and him at Luff Seafood in Boca Raton. He's got 25,000 followers in 24 hours. I'm like, This is insane. And then it exploded, and I'm like, yeah, we got something here.
I always say, I mean, winning a bet's great, but there's a cool feeling about when you make something like content and you put it out and tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people see it.
And you don't realize how many people are watching it. Like I was in Italy. Yeah, I was in Italy. I was in Rome getting tiramisu with my wife, and I heard a guy scream, "Snuff, you're a far away from home." And I turned around and looked, and him and his wife came running up to me like, "You are the funniest. You and Joey are the best." Like, we're in Rome.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, thousands of miles away.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's amazing how many people touch. I mean, you think about it, you get a video with 700,000 views, let's say. The Eagles Stadium fits what? 70?
50?
Yeah, 50,000 people, let's say. I mean, you're getting essentially 12, 13 times that amount.
The video me and Joey put up the other day, him smacking me with the loaf of bread, got 800,000 views.
Yeah, you think about that's a lot of people, man.
Yeah.
800,000 people. Yeah, that's cool. So you're still working initially, right? You were still selling cars.
I was still selling cars. I was selling cars. The the podcast, let's say, was 3 months full, and I seen that my boss was getting envious of me. Meaning the boss, he was like the big boss, the general manager, let's just say.
Yeah.
And he was from Delaware, so he didn't understand any of this. And I said to my wife, I said, this isn't going to end good. They're going to fire me. And she said, so what? Let them fire you. And I was like, I never really understood that. Like when you have a woman that's by your side and is like 100%, it makes everything so much easier. Because now I'm like, fuck it. Let them fire me. I don't care.
I got to tell you, Snuff, you're living the life, man. You really are. I mean,
trying.
You're doing your thing. I'm happy for you. It's hard to find a good woman.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got someone that really supports what you're doing. What does your family think of all this? They think it's
love it.
Cool, right?
Yeah, they love it. Yeah. You know, this is us. This is us. Cheesesteak stores, you know,
Yeah,
party on Broad Street, you know, like, you know, my wife and Joey's wife, Wags, like we're all close. My parent, like it's just like we're one, you know, one big circle and everybody just has fun. So everybody loves it.
A lot of people wonder, and you got to be honest on this. When you go into a place, do you pay or no?
No.
They usually give it to you for free.
Yeah. And
like
and if they do give it to me for free, I always put a post up for them.
Okay, so it's kind of a, you know, you do.
Yeah, like it's like, you know, you're here. You know, I don't want to toot my own horn. Oh, okay. I guess they would say you're a celebrity or an influencer's here. You know, don't worry about it. We got it. I always throw them up. I always make a promo, you know, but everybody in South Philly, I try and go to their places and promote them. You know, this is where I'm from.
Do you ever worry about, you know, I'm just gonna be honest. Do you ever worry about envy? Like, that city's fucked up. Let's just be honest.
Of course. You know, your friends are the most envious of you. I don't worry about strangers. I worry about my friends. That's the truth. You know, people that are closest to you are the people that are the most jealous of you.
Well, yeah, because you're having success. You know, they may have something that happens to them, and they think, well, why does he get to do that and I don't? You know, I will say, I think you're probably one of the more famous people in South Philly. I think that's surely at this point. You're opening, and I kind of want to put a bow on the podcast, but you're opening. You know, then the news was you were opening the steak spot. Talking, you know, the old talk of the town, Broad and Pollock. Great place. You know, it's kind of been vacant for a while. What's your involvement going to be with that? Are you going to just be? You're not going to be there making steaks, but like,
no, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there every day. We're going to do like a thing, breakfast with Snuffy. You know, I'm going to be there in the morning time. We'll have the podcast on all day. Take pictures. We'll bullshit about the podcast while you're getting your bacon, egg, and cheese. You know, so I'll be there. I'm always going to be there. So
it's going to be like a luncheonette type of place.
Yeah, I mean, in the morning time, you're like I said, you're going to come in, you're going to grab your breakfast before work, grab a cup of coffee, and go. But you're always going to see me there or Joey there. So it's always going to be one of us are going to be in the building.
You know, Snuff, there is one thing that I'll admit to you in front of everybody that watches this. There is the one envy I have of you, and I'll tell you what it is. People don't understand the way my life has changed doing this show. Okay, you know that. I can't walk around like you do, right? And I look at you and I am envious of you because I will say this about South Philly. I truly love living there. It sucks that I've gotten to the point that I am. You know, you take the good and the bad, but you know how it is for me.
Yeah, I know.
And I envy you on that. You know, it's great that it's worked for you. And, you know, South Philly's a great place. I think it's really an underrated place to live. You mentioned
it is.
Casinos right there. You could be at the shore in an hour. You know, everybody knows everybody, and
I could go to New York at, you know, an hour and a half. Like, you know what I mean? So you know, everything's right here.
Are you gonna do content at the steak shop or no?
Oh yeah, all day long. Yeah,
you are
all day long. That's all it's about. Is content.
Yeah, I know that. Sure. So the podcast, well, I guess, you know, you've done so many episodes, right? You've done, you know, some that were really controversial, right? The John Gotti Jr. one, or, you know, the stuff with some of these informants. I guess I will ask you that. You know, are you, because you didn't know much about the criminal justice system when you came in?
No, I knew nothing about it.
A lot of people do, right?
No.
Something people don't really think about. Has it changed your view, kind of what you've heard? Has it changed your view on kind of
Well, you always know that there's corruption.
Sure.
And you always know that there's certain laws that favor certain people. And I really didn't know much about the RICO Act until the podcast started. I didn't know how many different types of informants there were until the podcast started. So stuff like that I didn't know about. You never realize how a guy could turn out to be a rat or, a CI, whatever you want to call it, and literally could operate and do whatever he wants and still make money and get paid by the government. It was like mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, and this is why a lot of people have always said it should be outlawed.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And I've always said I don't agree with these people. I let them tell their story to me, but I don't necessarily agree with what they do. And I think, we were always told growing up, you don't tattletale on people, right?
Of course.
Yeah. And there's a special type of person that when you do all these things, you then get convicted, like Joey's uncle. His case is he was convicted. He knew his punishment was life, and he said, "Oh no, and I don't want to do that. I'll just, So there's a certain level of honor in that where you don't do that. But your eyes have opened a little bit,
absolutely, yeah. And we had a lot of big guests, and a lot of good shows, and stuff that I loved, So it's great.
Who is your favorite guest?
Joey Diaz.
He's funny.
Yeah, Joey Diaz, AJ Galante, Pete Rose. We were his last interview before he passed away. Rest in peace, Pete. That was amazing. Amber Rose. There were so many. Scott Storch, Fat Joe. Incredible. They were incredible. Danny Garcia.
You interviewed Freeway too.
Freeway, my buddy. One of the best guys.
I mean, he's Philadelphia Freeway is, I think, the greatest rap album of all time. I grew up on that. That's awesome. Does
a lot for the community. He had unfortunate tragedy in his life.
Yeah, he did.
So I mean, just one of the best guys ever. I could text him right now and he would answer the phone.
Why do you think the black community loved Joey?
I just think that he did so much for them, and he helped them out as much as he could, that they just respected him forever for it. You know what I mean?
Real quick, there's also a certain level of what we just talked about. There's an acceptance of, we've all done things in our life. A lot of those guys, maybe they went to prison and they watched this guy who's very well known. He didn't tell on anybody, and neither did they. So there's a certain level of respect there. I've noticed that he's very well liked in a lot of different communities.
I could go anywhere, like you said. I could go in, let's say, a neighborhood that somebody would think is the worst neighborhood. To me, it's nothing. I go right out, I go to the store. I got people come up to me like, Joey paid for my clothes in prison. Joey bought the whole block ice cream. Joey gave us food when we had nothing to eat. My electric was getting shut off. My cousin knew Joey. He paid for it. Just things like that. People don't forget that.
So you think that the general consensus on who Joey is, you think it's dead wrong?
Yeah, I do. 1,000,000%.
What do you think the future is for the show? You're at what, 70 some episodes?
76 episodes. I think the future of it is, we have multiple offers to do TV shows, to do a reality show, for Joey to come out with a book, to write a documentary. They want me to narrate it, things like that. We have so many different offers, but right now the main focus is keep doing the podcast the way it is, get the steak shop open, and then hopefully franchise the steak shop all over the world.
That would do well.
Yeah.
Put one in Florida, put one out here where I live.
Yeah, there's so many things that you could do with it.
2 more questions, then we'll go. What do you think of what I do and what all these people do? What do you think of this whole genre?
Well, I don't understand the genre, meaning because how can I say it? You do stuff different than another channel. The other channel, these guys go on there and they talk about how many people they murdered and baseball bat. That's bizarre. I would never watch that. And then you talk about people that were involved in a certain life or the cartel and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's different. I just think the whole YouTube in general is crazy.
You think it's weird?
Yeah, I just think it's weird. It's not something that if I didn't do this podcast, I would definitely not watch any of it.
Funny you say that. A lot of people that I speak to that also do this, they say the same thing. I don't watch mob content. I've seen it all and just don't care at this point.
Yeah, it's like it's something I definitely won't watch.
It's an evil group of people too. A lot of weird people in this world.
Yeah.
I guess the last thing I'll ask you is, in 10 years, where do you think? Where do you think you'll be?
10 years, where do I think I'll be? Well, hopefully rich
will you
on
be
the
about
beach
40
somewhere.
at that time?
Yeah, I'll be 43. So hopefully I'll be rich on the beach. Me and my wife, I don't smoke cigars, but if I am rich, I'll be smoking a Cuban.
Not in Florida. You'll be in like Margate or something.
It all depends. Depends on how much money I got. You know what I mean?
Well, listen, you're doing really well. I'm happy for you. I think it takes a special person to be a host with a guy like that,
Yeah.
kind of bigger than life. You got to take a lot of shit, but you do it well. You're an important part to it. You need a good host for something like that. I have one more, and then we'll go.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
What's your most memorable gambling experience, game that you hit?
Probably, I'm going to tell you, probably the most memorable gambling experience in the casino was last Super Bowl. My buddy Danny from New York, me, Joey, and him, because we went to last year's Super Bowl, Kansas City versus San Fran. We stayed at the Wynn. Joey went upstairs. I think he went upstairs to get ready because we were going somewhere. I think we were going to dinner, and I was with my buddy Danny, who I met down there, who's one of my best friends now. We're very close. He hit player 13 times in a row on the baccarat table with me sitting there, and he won $700,000. Now, I didn't win that money, but I was with him and watched it. And, of course, he did give me money. I was like his lucky charm. But that was the craziest, memory scene. Like, when they paid him, he had pencil cases of $100,000. It was incredible.
I got to ask, and if you don't want to answer, how much did he give you?
$25,000.
That's
a lot of money.
It's a nice wingman score there.
Yeah, $25,000.
Do you remember how we met?
Yeah,
I don't.
Bob and Chris
Was
Chill.
it Bob? Was it Bob?
In Stogie Joe's.
Shout out Chris Chill, by the way.
Yeah, College Chill.
Yeah,
remember
the Chill.
That?
Oh, collegechill.com. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, he was on WIP. You know, by the way, do you know Gogs used to be on WIP, right?
Yeah, South Philly Santa.
South Philly Santa, yeah.
Yeah, of course.
That's
now,
great.
see Gogs, he was best friends with my cousin my whole life. He's known me when I was in diapers. You know what I mean? So it's easy. But the most memorable story I have, gambling myself, I hit a parlay 18,000 to 1.
That was pretty recent, right?
No, my dad hit one this year for 18,000 to 1.
Okay.
It was 16,000 to 1. My dad got for $100. He got paid 16,500. Mine was 2 years ago, $200. All I needed left was Mike Gesicki to score a touchdown, and he winds up scoring at the end of the game.
Wow.
Yeah.
At Philly Live, do you have comps for 700?
Everything. Yeah. The deal I have with them is I love them over there. Philly Live, FanDuel, great people.
Yeah.
I do my videos there. I do my content. I shout them out. So it's just all good.
Gogs is a great guy, by the way.
Yeah.
I've met him many times. One of the nicest people.
Yeah,
he's always firing, man.
Always.
He loves firing. Joe Perri, check him out on The Skinny with Joey Merlino. They're on YouTube, not posting as much because we know YouTube can be. I don't say anything bad. But check them out on Patreon. It's important that we help out the creators. They have some great stories, some stories that I didn't even know. And I feel like I know a lot about, Joey and you guys, but really good stuff. Snuff, I appreciate you coming on for a little bit and chatting about the old days. We'll talk to you.
Make sure you come and grab a cheesesteak when we're open.
Oh, and that's right. I want everybody, real quick, when it opens, it's very easy to get to. Broad and Pollock, go get one. Because I know what's going on behind the scenes with these guys. They're putting a lot of time into it. I know they're going to have the best ingredients. It's going to be a great place to go. So fuck all these other places. Go there.
My man, thank you. I appreciate
it. Joe Perri, thank you for coming on, bro.
You got it. Have a good night.
Appreciate it. Just hang on. I'm just going to wrap it up, and then I'll jump to you. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next week here on The Sit Down.